Hey, everybody. We're here week one. It's Zach Tow from Burning the Red Shirt podcast and Brian McElfresh from CFB Dynasty. How you doing, Brian?
Great, man. I am so excited. I got a little bit of game day in. Got it paused for now. I'll catch up on it. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but
Yeah.
still
So we're
excited.
doing our own game day. We don't need them. Here's the way I see Corso. He's a little rough.
Oh, it's sad.
But no, I've never been one to watch a lot of game day. I used to watch it, just because it was always what was on a Saturday morning. But we were talking pre-show, like they've gone to like a 3-hour show now, and it just seems really drawn out.
It does.
Like I like when they go like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they rapid fire through games and they start picking games. Like that's what I like.
I mean, I used to watch it so much where a Home Depot commercial in the off season would just give me that feeling of, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. Right. So like we kind of want to run through games and kind of answer some, people's questions on, who should they start, who should they sit, there's a lot of tough decisions, and we might even talk about our own lineups. But we had actually one in the Discord, I believe. Was it a start sit?
Yeah, we did. So Jaron Hall and Jake Hainer was the question. Or no, sorry. No. Tanner Mordecai.
Yeah, Tanner Mordecai or Jaron Hall.
Jaron Hall.
I like both quarterbacks. I actually have Hall in the Dynasty League you're in with me. And I think Hall is a good option for 3 or 4 touchdowns, and I think that's kind of it, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. But they're all going to be passing. So depending on how your league scores passing touchdowns, I do 6 in mine, so it's great. But if you do just a 4-point passing touchdown, I think Mordecai has more of an opportunity to throw for more than that and possibly run one in.
That's the problem with week one is both of these are fantastic starts. Like typically, so I've got rankings up on the screen here. Typically, you've got the first, 4
zoom it in
5,
a little bit if you can.
You've got the first 4 or 5 that are like grade A starts, and saying that out loud, maybe we should put grades as the
that would be really cool
on here. But yeah, like so many of the top 40 quarterbacks would typically on a normal week be a grade A start. And Jaron Hall, Tanner Mordecai, both are fantastic here. So there's no spread on North Texas SMU, at least at the time of putting these rankings together.
What I worry about with Mordecai is kind of something you alluded to before we went live, is Preston Stone is probably going to play.
Oh, the coach already said they're both going to play.
Yeah. So if Mordecai comes out, he throws for a couple touchdowns and they're up, 28-7 or something like that. They throw Preston Stone out there. He throws for another one. Mordecai, I think, has the higher opportunity to be benched than Jaron Hall does. Jaron Hall is going to play, and Jaron Hall is probably not going to get pulled until they're up big.
And they're only favored by 12. So I think it's most likely.
And
Jaron
I think it's
Hall's
only because they're on the road.
Game.
They're on and they're on the road. Like if that's at BYU, they're probably favored closer to 20.
Yep. South Florida's offense is going to be better. It should be a pretty high score. Over-under's 58.
Yeah. Bohannon starting there is really intriguing to me. It sucks because I had him in Dynasty and I had him for like 2 full seasons. I stashed him and I'm like, yeah, he's paying off. And then all of a sudden it doesn't go the way I want it to at Baylor. And there's some other guys I'd rather have. So I let him go. Then he transfers to a good situation, and it just makes you kick yourself because you had all this faith in him, and then you let him go, and then this is what happens. And this happens to everybody. I know it's not just me. I try to learn from my mistakes, and you won't believe this, but I have Javon Baker on my dynasty team for UCF, right? I grabbed him when he committed to Alabama. And I stuck with him. And they said, "Oh, he's not going to play." They talked about how he was doing well in camp and blah 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 blah. And so I just stashed him. I was like, "Okay, if he's doing well, he's obviously catching this coaching staff's eye. He'll eventually get his opportunity." Well, Then he leaves Alabama, and you're like, uh-oh, where is he going to go? It kind of reminds you of Shavers, who's now at San Diego State. That was at Alabama, and he just never really panned out. And he's become a decent player for San Diego State, but is he going to be that star caliber player that you were hoping he was at Alabama? Well, now that first week, UCF plays, and Baker's their best receiver.
Yep.
Statistically, he's their best receiver. And I just feel like, I think there's a lot of reward in holding on to guys that, and I know we've steered this to like a dynasty conversation, but like holding on to guys that are talented, even though the situation may not be great at the moment, it's possible it moves forward and they actually break out. But to answer the actual question, I think I might lean Hall.
Yeah.
Only because I think of just safety, sheer safety in points.
Yeah. They're both great starts. And I would probably lean Mordecai because I think they're just going to
He's the better rated player.
Points. But yeah, there's not much separation there. Like if you go Jaren Hall, it's not a bad start either way.
But here's another thing, and now that I'm second guessing myself, like Hall is Romney and Puka are both questionable, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they both don't play, what does that do to the BYU passing game? Does BYU just run it all game long?
Yeah, so funny. So I had this conversation with a guy on Twitter who, we'll do this all the time on Twitter, but we prefer everybody to hop in the Burning the Red Shirt Discord and the CFB Dynasty Discord and answer those questions there. I'll get alerts and everything more quickly. But anyways, we went back and forth about, let's see, he was deciding between Bowers and Ibrahim. And I was telling him I would probably go, let's see, like I'm rooting for Ibrahim coming off the injury and whatnot. And dang, he looked good. So I would my gut would want to go Ibrahim, but I thought Bowers would be the better play. And like early on, he was like, worried about Bowser because he just wasn't playing much early on. And it ended up where Bowser got 27. Ibrahim had 31 in his league. So I think this is that scenario where you can debate which one is going to be the better play, but I think they're both good plays.
Yeah. And I guess something I also alluded to beforehand, like I always look at week one. You got to be careful with what you see in week one, week 0, week 1. And I always refer to it as fool's gold because you might get a great performance in week 1 from a guy that maybe you weren't expecting to perform. And now everybody scrambles, hit the waiver wire, and they grab this guy. And while good player, he never actually hits that number again. For the rest of the year. Like that was his best game. So, and I'm actually kind of worried. I spent a lot of free agent dollars on Ricky White from UNLV, and reasonably so. He had a really good game week 0. I just wonder if that's going to be what you reasonably can't expect 150 and 2 touchdowns every week. That's hard to expect, especially from a low output offense historically. But it was too hard to pass up when you need wide receiver help, right?
Yep.
But it's the same concept. Like fool's gold is everybody jumps in on a guy, and like in this particular case, you're saying Bowser and Ibrahim. Could that be his best game of the season? Playing New Mexico State at home, they gave him his run. They knew it wasn't going to be much resistance. They let him run, let him get his feet under him. And really moving forward, they're going to be basically a committee backfield.
Yep.
Because Potts is going to get run.
He looked so good too.
You look at Ibrahim's game. You look at Ibrahim's game, and it's great. I'm happy for him. An Achilles tear for a running back is very difficult to come back from, and it looks like he's back at least to 90% of what he was before he went out. And that's always encouraging. I just wonder if the coaching staff looks at that and says, you know what, we can't run this guy into the ground. We have 2 good running backs. Let's give him a break a minute,
Yep.
And that's not what we want to hear as fantasy owners, because You want a guy to get 40 carries a game. That's what you want. You want 40, 50 carries. You want him to have all the touches, 200 yards, every goal line touch is his. Well, I don't know that that's going to be the case. Not every team's going to play like New Mexico State. So just kind of be wary on who you, what you see in week 0, week 1 moving forward.
Totally agree. So I don't know what 100% what this second question is from Shy Kid. And this guy's from Chicago. It looks like Shy Kid. I don't know exactly what he's asking here. It says for newer people or newer leagues in a startup, do you look at raw player stats for total points, or schools that are more prominent in rankings for your players? So I guess I could just go over basically what these rankings are. So every week, you can see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. We'll post our weekly player rankings, and this is a combination of, what's the year-to-date data, which we have none so far, of course. Right. So you'll see those kind of just a line there, a hyphen, just to signify that there's nothing yet, but there's going to be data there coming. And then we'll look at a mixture of the opportunity. Basically, we're trying to know and understand, and this really is beneficial for the smaller schools because we don't really know how good, Rice or Ball State's going to be from year to year, unless you're, a hardcore fan of those teams. So what the over under and the spread does as Vegas metrics is it just gives us an opportunity to say, all right, Tennessee versus Ball State, you'll see this in a column there, is projected 50.75 points based on the spread and over under from Vegas. And Ball State is like, 17.25. I don't remember what the actual score was to that game. Let's see if it was anywhere close, actually.
So I think to kind of maybe allude to this question,
59-10. So it's pretty close.
Yeah. So to allude to this question, like it asks, in a startup dynasty league, do you look at your players' raw stats for total points, or schools that are more prominent in your rankings? So for me, I admittedly don't use like a lot of rankings to draft by or to start sit players. If I'm on the fence about a player, I kind of go with my gut for the most part. And then if I'm on the fence about a player, then I might look at, okay, what are the other people saying? Like, is it a pretty significant difference? Like, do you have him ranked at QB 7 versus QB 15? Like, that seems like a pretty big jump. Whereas if you got a guy ranked at 9 and the other guy's at 13, it's not as big of a risk to take either one. So I guess that's kind of the question, right? Like, do you look at just like the points that they've scored currently and just go with, oh, he's scored 30 points a game, I'm going to play him this week. And
right.
I don't, the small school guys are tough because their worst games are probably going to be right now.
Yep.
Because they're
part of the fool's gold, right?
Right. So they're playing. Yeah, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Fool's gold in terms of, they had bad games, but when they're playing against Tennessee and they're playing against the bigger schools, they're not going to be playing those schools every week. They're going to be playing against, Central Michigan and Ball State and like in Toledo, they're week in, week out. And I think that's where you got to be careful. If you get a guy that kind of flashes in one of those games, maybe doesn't have a monster statistical performance, but has, you can clearly see, especially if you watch it, that he's getting a lot of the targets against a good team that maybe they shut him down, where he maybe has 4 catches for 30 yards, and doesn't get in the end zone, but he had 12 balls thrown to him. Well, they clearly want to get this guy the ball. And when they start playing inferior talent, he might get closer to 10 catches because he's the guy they want to target. So I don't know. Fool's gold both ways. That's a good point that you mentioned that. Yep.
Yep. So I'm going to let you answer the next one here from Moonlight Waffles on the Discord. I'm playing against him, so I'm going to let you answer these questions.
Oh, wow.
I mean, who would trust me?
Well, I'll say this. That first one, Titus Swin, scares me.
Yep.
And I think Wyoming is awful. And when I say awful, I alluded to it on the BTR pod. Like, they may not win a game this year.
Yeah.
Because like I haven't looked at their actual schedule, but I'll pull it up while I'm sitting here. But they played week 0. Hold on, let me pull it up. And at Illinois, they got 38-6. Illinois is a Big Ten team. I get it. Illinois should win that game. But they didn't do anything throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And if they can't throw the ball, there's no way they can run the ball.
Right.
Because now everybody's just to say, okay, well, you can't throw it, so we're going to just put 8 in the box, and Swin's going to have a hard time. Now, they play Tulsa today. I think, obviously, it's an easier matchup.
Yeah, they're not as good.
And Swin's their best player. I don't disagree with that necessarily. I just wonder what kind of opportunity he's going to have. Like, I think they threw for like 50 yards against Illinois.
Yikes.
And Illinois is not like a juggernaut defense. Let's just put that out there. Didn't they lose last night, or did they pull out?
Illinois lost.
Yeah, to Indiana. And I get it's a Big Ten game. It's better than Wyoming, but we're not expecting Illinois to be a 9-10 win team here.
Correct. Yep.
So Swin scares me. Now, Evans, that situation scares me a little bit in terms of the rotation. This is the Louisville guy, right? Make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The situation scares me a bit, but I think the word from camp kind of is he's the one, and I think the other guys will get run for sure. But I think he's the safer play, and I think they're a better team than Syracuse. Now Malik Cunningham's gonna do his thing, but I think Evans they like to run the ball. Mm-hmm. Louisville's a run first team from what I have gathered. Like they use the pass, but I think that the Cunningham, the RPO type stuff, like they have a lot of talent in that backfield. Why not use it? And I think you're safer taking Evans. My opinion. I know you're playing against him. You don't want to.
Well, I mean, if I was starting, honestly, I would pick Swin this week. Like, yes, I'm worried about Wyoming too and how good they're going to be. We had them ranked lower than most other rankings out there because of that.
Yeah.
When you look at, I think Xavier Valade, who was like starting there or whatever before and getting the bulk of the carries, and Swin had some pretty good stats as the backup.
Yeah. The problem that you have though is like half that team left.
Yes, they did.
Not just Valade, not just Levi Williams. Like I believe 3 quarterbacks left the roster.
Yeah, it's going to be
as a matter of fact, Idaho State. Who did they play last week? I don't remember who they played. Vanderwall is their quarterback.
Didn't they play Illinois last week?
No. Idaho State.
Oh.
Idaho State played UNLV. I think it might have been UNLV.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway, Vanderwall is the quarterback at Idaho State. Well, he was at Wyoming. So he left Wyoming to go to Idaho State. And Wyoming lost at Valade. They lost receiver Nair to Texas.
Yep.
Right? Like all of their best players left.
But Swin last week did look pretty good. He had 17 for 98 against a Big Ten Illinois team.
Right. But I'm wondering, like, do teams just say, look, they can't throw the ball and just start loading up the box and just say, make Swin beat us? And that's a tough position to be in. It's going to happen. Yeah. And maybe he's that good. Maybe he's that good where he runs just through everybody. But I think the longer you go doing that, teams are just going to say, look, we're just going to load the box. We'll put 9 players in the box and just play. Seriously. And if you can't throw the ball, you're making it a lot harder on Swin to get carries. Like, I just wonder what his peak is, like what his ceiling is, because if he's going to get 25 touches a game and he's getting 3 yards a carry, is that really what we want? Like you're hoping that he breaks a 40, 50-yard run in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I just want to see Evans I'm very confident Swin's going to get his 20 touches.
Yeah.
How many does Evans get? Is it 12? Is it 18? I really don't know.
That's fair.
I would say the lower floor is on Swin, neither of them are amazing starts this week.
Right. I think I'm going to lean Evans just because I think Swin scares me a little in terms of how teams are going to line up against him. Now, Tulsa, if you're going to play him, I mean, Tulsa's not a bad matchup.
Right.
Like it's a good
where
matchup.
I'm at right now.
Then they get Northern Colorado next week. Like if they don't win either of those games, I don't see them beating Air Force. I don't see them beating BYU. I don't see them maybe San Jose State. But,
winless watch is on if they don't win one of the next two for sure.
Right. So I mean, they get at Hawaii later on. Like then it doesn't get easier. Colorado State, Boise, Fresno to close out. Like that's gonna be rough for them. And the longer it goes, where they're having to force feed him the ball, he might get worn down. Honestly. So if you're gonna start, I guess I'm gonna flip my pick. I think Swin might be the pick now because by week 5 he may not have any gas left.
Yeah.
So. Either way, I don't think either one of them's a great start. But if it's like your flex play, I guess it's not right. You can kind of flip a coin there. All right. So,
another one from him, Jalen McMillan or Joseph Nada.
And that's the Clemson receiver?
Right.
Or no? Okay.
Yep, Clemson.
Clemson and Washington, right?
Yep.
McMillan's the freshman. Correct? Or is he like a COVID
He's
freshman?
A sophomore. He's a sophomore. So he had
a good season. He did play last year.
470 yards, 3 touchdowns
last year. Washington has the good matchup with Kent State.
Yep.
Kent State's they're probably gonna score some points, honestly. Does Washington have enough juice to make it a fun game, or is their defense good enough to kind of stifle Kent State? I like McMillan. That's a tough one because I don't know what Washington's really going to look like.
Both of these are tough lineup situations. Which is
like
exactly what we want to talk through on this.
Yeah, Washington. I've always been a Washington fan for some reason. Like I always want to see Washington do well. Maybe it's because Chris Peterson was there and I just wanted to see that run, that good coaching, which in fairness, he did a really great job. You're seeing how great he was at Washington because ever since he left, they've been pretty terrible. But even before that, though, Washington was always one of those teams that was always like a 6, 7, 8 win team that maybe get 10 wins one season. They were never just awful. But now I don't even know what their calling card is anymore.
Yep.
Right? Like Hainer was transferring there from Fresno. But did you know this?
Yeah.
He had transferred, put his name in the portal, and apparently committed to Washington. Like right after the bowl game, I believe. He had committed to Washington, and then all of a sudden something happened, and I guess the coach went from Washington to back to Fresno, right? Or was he at Washington?
So
something along those lines. And then he went back to Fresno, which I think was the best move in his for his career, because I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I think he's a draftable quarterback, and I'm talking NFL drafts, but McMillan, though, I don't know the volume's going to be there for him.
I think they're going to be passing it around. So their coach
but
came over.
Don't they have the other guy, Adunze or whatever his name is, at Washington?
So
Romeo Adunze or something. I don't know if that's probably a terrible pronunciation, but like you know who I'm talking about. So I just wonder if they're going to pass it enough, and maybe they do. Like they brought some running backs in. They got a guy from New Mexico who's not even the starting running back, Aaron Dumas. Like I had him on Dynasty. It's one of those guys I stashed him, and then now I'm thinking, yes, he goes to Washington. He's going to be in a big time program. He's going to be the starting running back because they need some help. And then now he's not even RB1 or RB2. So now I'm wondering if that even matters, if the depth charts even matter, because guess what? Penny Boone wasn't listed on the depth chart for Toledo. And guess who got the run in Toledo? Penny Boone.
We had him ranked higher than everyone else. I like Boone. I have him. I was nervous about it, honestly, because we had him ranked in the top 50 running backs for fantasy, but we never got clarification that he was going to be the starter. So
they put out the week 1 depth chart and he wasn't on it. So that's really scary. Like
Yikes.
we've done other pods. You probably listened to other pods where people talk about how much stock do you put in a depth chart. Well,
None.
when a guy's not on it, that's scary.
Yeah.
Like when he gets an or he's RB1,
That
RB2.
happened to Kamar Wheaton.
Right.
But apparently he's coming back from an injury.
Right.
And not
But
quite
stuff
ready
you don't
yet.
know. But
Yeah.
RB1, RB2 with an or, it's not as scary. But when you have an RB1, RB2, and an RB3, and he's neither one of them, or none of them, that's scary to me. And then when he goes out there week 1 and starts, or gets necessarily starts, but gets the bulk of the carries, like it makes your belief comes back, and it all comes back to the fool's gold. Is that real, or was it because they were playing like Long Island, right? Like, is that what it comes down to? But back to the question, I think you got to go with McMillan only because Clemson, while they have all the talent, they have all the talent in the world. Do they put it together, and does DJU figure it out?
100% agreed.
I've said it for months. I think DJU is one of those guys that if you can get him late, and you probably did in your drafts, he might be worth taking a flyer on because that offense is too talented to suck for this long.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's where we're at with like a premier 5-star SoCal quarterback from a year ago. But
right.
I think that's 100% agree. Like McMillan's the play, in my opinion, if I'm making that choice. There's not enough note. Like Nada's a great talent. I've heard a lot of good things about him.
They've got a lot of great
Clemson
talent.
Staff has softened on, is DJU the guy? Like he's gonna start.
Yeah, he better come out. He better come out slinging it because the way I look at it is if they're in close games early, I don't know if it was us that talked about it or if it was on the other pod. If they struggle to move the ball and score points in the first couple games, I don't know how you don't turn to the freshman.
Yeah,
Klubnik.
yeah, and they said he's going to play this week. Like they've already said it. So
and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it because they're playing Georgia Tech, right? Georgia Tech's going to be terrible, but I think in pure opportunity, like it might be Nada comes out and has 4 catches for 110 yards and two scores, and you're like, well, shit, I should have started him, right? Like that's like so low volume that you're hoping that every time he touches the ball, it is a touchdown because he's not going to get the opportunities that you got. Bo Collins still over there that I think is the better player, and he was listed, I think, as an or.
Yep.
So I don't even know what to think about Clemson's situation right now.
That's wild.
Not as good. Bo Collins is good. Like DJU, I still have faith that he's going to lose some weight and get more in shape and be more locked in.
If you had the same matchups 5 weeks from now, it could be a totally different answer. Because, like similar to like when Van Dyke took over at Miami, all like Mallory's value in fantasy went up. Rambo's value in fantasy went way up. And they just started putting up a ton of points. Like it could be the same thing if Klubnik just comes in and things start to click. And it would be sad for DJU. I'm rooting for him. I hope he figures it out. But I think it's against the odds now if he does it.
Right.
So
by the way, I want to give some props to your Discord. By the way, the CFB Dynasty Discord. Like you don't push it on Facebook. I mean, on Facebook, on Twitter. You don't push it on. You don't really promote it. To get people to join, and you still have 150-ish members, 140, 150.
Yeah.
Like we've been trying to push our Discord to get people to join, and we're about at the same spot. And we also started before you did. So kudos to you on that because there's a lot of people that are joining the Discord, and
we
can make this. We can make it cool. It could be a really cool community, and not just for college football season. You make it a year-round thing.
Yep.
When news comes out, transfer portal and all that stuff in February, right? Like those are the type of things that people want to keep up to date about.
Yeah, we just had three more join this morning.
Right? And they didn't join my Discord. So
let's get them over there too.
yeah.
But yeah, so one of the things that we want to do with you guys on this podcast every week, kind of going forward, will be showing what the progress is on the algorithm. So I met with the developer yesterday, and Zach, it was kind of, it wasn't online. He actually came in over to my office, and
Oh yeah.
we did some things. Otherwise, I was going to invite you in. But anyways, I'm just kind of learning how to use the database of all the college football data that we have access to. And what we're going to build is going to be really cool. And hopefully it helps win us all some money when it comes to
Right.
DFS, which I know you can't play there.
Yeah, it sucks.
However, let me say, every time I log into DraftKings, I get the alert that says it's not available in your area, and I just click dismiss and I keep playing, and it
Really?
works out fine.
So
Yeah,
you're in Florida. Florida is
yeah,
a legal state. And
it is. I
let me
don't
tell
know
you what's
why I get
wild.
that alert.
Let me tell you what's wild. So Mississippi and Tennessee, states I'm basically on the border of, right, are neither one of them, they both are legal to bet, to gamble.
Hmm.
In Mississippi, I have to go to a casino to actually place a bet. Tennessee, it's all mobile. However, college football DFS is not allowed in either
Lame.
state. In either state, I can play DFS of everything else, but college sports, no. So it's really unfortunate. And so like when people talk DFS, like I just don't care, because what am I going to do with that? Like,
Yeah,
it's hard for me. And it was not long ago, like I could do it. Like it was like 5 years ago, like I
sucks.
could do it, and now I can't do any of it. But
So
it is what it is.
yeah, it does suck. So I'll show you a little bit about what we're doing here. We've kind of adjusted the format here. It's a bit longer.
Mhm.
So every week we're going to be posting this. This one is currently public to everyone. All the rest of them are going to be just for members, but you've got your week 1 DFS picks. So, which we also submit to Sporting News, but we give them less than we give
Yeah.
here to our members. So we've kind of got it split up by, we've got the early games and the late games, and then we've got our top starts. So these are guys that should be anchors. Like they should be guaranteed they're gonna get you points because you're spending a lot of money on them. You want there to be as little risk as possible if you're spending a ton of money on someone. So we've got those listed here: quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers. And then we get into the value picks. So these are your middle tier price. We're looking heavily at, over under and trying to spot people who have the potential to boom. It's not like they're playing against, a top 25 defense or whatever in most cases there. And then you've got your sleepers. Now, if you're in a big pool, you got to nail a couple sleepers, these low dollar types of players that can score points. Like Cameron Peoples is at $4,900 this week in
That's your
DraftKings.
guy. You like him.
He had 15 touchdowns last year, and
Yeah.
yes, apparently we're no more comments. No,
it's a good price though.
Yeah, it's a good price for him. So, and then we've got late games, same format there. Josiah and I put some of our lineups in there. I have O'Marion Hampton in my lineup and Donovan Edwards because of the value. Like Hampton started, had 14 touches, 100 yards,
And you
couple
played Hall
scores,
too.
and he's at 3,000. He's like the
Mm.
third running back for North Carolina in terms of what it costs to add him to your lineup. So I did start Jaron Hall in there because I think that's a really good value. And then I went heavier on receiver. So you've got Nathaniel Dell, you've got Zay Flowers there. And then I started Trigg, who's, technically a tight end. Whoever ends up playing quarterback there, I think that'll be good. Rocket Sanders. I have another version of this lineup that just replaces Rocket Sanders in case that one's bad, and then with the expensive DTR to kind of finish it
DTR
out
could
there.
be a monster.
And Zach, whenever you're able to finally play, we're gonna get yours in here too. Then lastly, we've taken
wild. It could be like next year. It could be never. I don't know.
We've taken our rankings that we have for standard fantasy, and then we've added 2 columns, one for the DraftKings value, one for the FanDuel value. So you can see, like, along with all the other data there, you can see the values so that you can kind of price shop and figure out where you want to put these players in your lineups if you play on both. So anyways, much more content than previous years. The data behind our picks is in there. So get in there, play around, set some lineups. We'd love to see it up in the Discord, who you're starting this week.
So I'm making a lineup now. I can make lineups, but like I've actually never tried it on my desktop. I've never tried to do it on my desktop. I've always been mobile, but it never gave me the you can't do this alert. But it might when I try to enter the contest. Except I have no money in my account because I don't
All right, let's set a live one.
You can do a free one, right? There's free ones, right?
I wouldn't know if there's free ones or not. So tell me what you think here. So I've got the late games up, which I haven't set a lineup for yet. So let's just set one live. So I've got.
Oh, there are free ones.
Oh, nice.
So I can just join and see if I can do that. I might be able to do that. I don't
know. So CJ Stroud 9,500, Bryce Young 9,200. Will Rogers 8,500, and then Tanner Mordecai, which is lower than Preston Stone at 7,900. Which value do you like the best there?
Repeat them to me. So you said Mordecai. So Mordecai is cheaper than Stone.
I'll also throw in one of our top 4 fantasy quarterbacks going into the season. Malik Cunningham is 7,200. Grayson McCall is 7,600, but he's against Army, so I would not start him in case Army just like controls the ball there.
It's tough when you play against a team like
nervous.
That. Yeah.
So Mordecai at 7,900, Malik Cunningham 7,200, Stroud at 9,500, Bryce Young 9,200, Will Rogers 8,500.
I kind of like Mordecai. I know we talked down about it. He's gonna probably be benched, but like that, I don't think North Texas is gonna stop him. Like I think the offense is gonna move just fine. It's just a matter of, when does he get enough points? That's why his value's good though, because he's only 72 or 7,500, whatever you said it was. Like
7,900.
Yeah, so, I mean, all right, it's better than what 9,000 or. If you're going to save some money on a potentially top 10 quarterback, like that's, I think you can roll the dice there. Like, Preston Stone's going to get it. It would be one thing if Preston Stone was like 4,000.
Right.
Then you would say maybe you play Preston Stone and hope that he gets 3 or 4 touchdowns just in backup play. But no, he's more than Mordecai, so no.
Preston I think Stone is unstartable at 8,200, higher than Mordecai. Yeah, he's just stay away from him
until you see it. Like you're gonna have to see. He's gonna have to truly come out and just outperform Mordecai.
Yeah,
and Mordecai is the starter. Like, how do you, like, even if they share time, even if they go like drive for drive, splitting time, like, which is I don't think is healthy. First of all, to do.
Yeah.
I think get like Mordecai comes out first quarter, gets 2 or 3 drives, and then maybe Preston Stone comes in. But like if Mordecai's playing well and the game's close, why would you sub him out? You know what I mean? Like let's say he has 3 drives, leaves them to 21 points, and North Texas is sitting at 17.
Yep.
Like, how do you take Mordecai out of the game? You can't. Because you know what you got with Mordecai. You put Preston Stone in and he doesn't play as well. Now you might lose.
So compare him to Malik Cunningham at 7,200. So to give you the numbers, Louisville's favored to win. It's at Syracuse, 8:00 tonight. It's -4.
I think Cunningham's a good play
50,
too. Yeah.
Over-under's 58. So you're looking at a 31 to 27-ish score in favor of Louisville. So would you go Mordecai potentially splitting carries and they're going to score an unlimited amount of points?
Yeah.
Or Cunningham playing out the full game as a
now that you say that, like Cunningham is the number 1 quarterback, right? Or number 2 or 3. He's up there. Like I'm talking about overall season long.
Overall, he was 3rd or 4th. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you hinge on the fact that he's a top 5 player
Yeah, we
fantasy.
have them right next to each other in the rankings this week with slight favor to Cunningham. So would you go Mordecai 7,900 or Cunningham 7,200?
You know what? I might roll Cunningham.
I think I would too. All right.
72 to 79. Yeah, that's enough of a gap.
All right. So at running back then, so here's some options for you. Again, there's 7 games in this pool right now of the late night starters. So we've got Gibbs 8,300, Tucker 7,800, Travion Henderson 7,500, Trey Siggers 7,200. Let's start with the top value guys. Do you like anyone there? And I think this is the best value you're going to get all year long for Travion Henderson.
Yeah. I think you don't have to worry about that game getting out of hand as much as you do the Alabama game. Gibbs could absolutely be great for Alabama, but I don't think they're going to take the ball out of Bryce Young's hands enough.
I don't think any running back is going to get 20 touches in this game.
Right.
Because they're playing Utah State. So
right. That's my point. So like Gibbs could come out early, get 100 yards, a couple scores, and be done.
Yep.
You know, I don't think I'm taking Gibbs. Like
I wouldn't either.
Like if I had him on my roster, I'd be cool with it. Like on my season long roster, I'd be cool with it because I think he's going to get enough opportunity.
Yep.
But Bryce Young is the Heisman Trophy winner, and they want to get these receivers in.
That's a good point.
In kind of in a rhythm, right?
Yep.
Like, and this is a game where you can get them in a rhythm. And we don't really know what the receiving core is really going to look like. Like the way they put their depth chart out, like, you know, not Tyler Hudson, Tyler Harrell.
Yeah.
He was a backup.
Yep.
To Burton. And we alluded to it on our podcast, like if you truly believe that when they line up in 3 wide receiver sets, that's Burton, Kobe Hudson, what's his name?
Kobe Prentice.
Kobe Prentice. Oh, Hudson, God. Kobe Prentice and Trayshawn Holden, right? That's what they've put in their depth chart. So I don't know that that's truly what's going to line up. Do you think that those are the 3 best receivers on the roster, or do you think that it's a little bit of kind of like, hey, look, you better be aware of these guys because if we pull our other guys out, they're going to start, like they're all starting caliber players. But like, I just wonder when they go their best lineup, is it actually those 3, or is it Burton, Harrell, Brooks, or is it Prentice? Is it Holden? Like who's the 3 guys that you're going to lean on? And if you go 4 wides, who is it? So I think the only for sure player, in my opinion, is Burton.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is going to play 80% of the snaps or more.
Yep. Yeah. So what do you think then about Sean Tucker home against Louisville? It's going to be a close 4-quarter game, 7,800, or Travion Henderson 7,500.
I like Henderson, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a good game. I think that's going to be a good game, and I think it's going to be close throughout.
Yep. I'm gonna put him in the lineup for now, and then let's scroll down a little bit.
And let's not forget. Like I know Jackson Smith and Jig was good. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is good. I know they've got 2 or 3 other guys that are going to be really good. But let's not act like they didn't just lose 2 first-round talent receivers.
Yeah, and I think Henderson's the best running back in football. Like
right, like at the end of the day, you could sit there and say, "Well, Stroud's going to throw it all over the place." Is he though? Like, does he have to? And you have new receivers. I don't care how good they are on paper. Like, until we actually see how that rotation is going to work. Like Smith and Jig was great. Like we know what he is, but was he great because the other guys didn't play in the bowl game?
Mm-hmm.
And he had that monster bowl game, and now everybody's saying he's the best receiver in college football. I don't know that he's not, but it's just. I don't know, man. I think Henderson's a good play. I think he's going to get a steady dose all game.
So let's look for a cheaper running back then for you here. So
we have a question in the YouTube, by the way. I'll put it up on the screen. So Rakeem Jarrett or Jonathan Mingo? I know you're high on Mingo. Your rankings have always been ranked high.
So this is a tough one because with Jarrett, you're adding in,
There's three
there's
receivers over there.
three great receivers, and then Mingo, you kind of expect him to be the guy. I took him early, a year too early, and then ended up cutting him, sadly. I wish I wouldn't have now, but I think Mingo could be the guy. There's a quarterback battle. This is a really, really tough question here.
Well, it also just depends on how do you feel about Ole Miss? Like, how do you feel that offense is going to look? Like they've got two really good running backs.
Yep.
And Lane Kiffin, as much as everybody equates like that, the Lane Kiffin offense to just airing it out all the time, he likes to run the ball.
Yeah.
And more than like, I guess it's just because it's usually big chunk plays that happen. You just like equate that to, they throw it all over the place. But those offenses need a good running back to work.
Yep.
And I just wonder if like Zach Evans is going to have a monster game, and any of the receivers for Ole Miss don't really stand out. Like they have like 5 guys with 4 or 5 catches and 60 yards. Like this, I don't know.
Let me give you the stats. Let's see if it changes.
Same way with Jarrett, though. Jarrett could split time with 3 or 4 different players and not really break out.
These are both typically really good starts based on just the data. If they're both, their respective wide receiver ones, which we would kind of expect that. With Maryland, they're adding Jacob Copeland. They've got Dante Demas there. So we're going to see. They play Buffalo at noon. So that game's coming up. They're 23-point favorites with a 63 point over under. So that leaves the final score at around 43-20. You're looking at potentially around 6 touchdowns for Maryland. And then
I'm going to roll Jarrett. I think I'm going to say Jarrett.
Here's the stats for Ole Miss real quick. So it's pretty similar, honestly. So you got Mingo. There's a quarterback battle there, which is why I'm going to roll Jarrett too. Where you'll see them against Troy, 4:00 today, -22 with an over/under of 58. So that's going to put the final score around 40-18. And we don't know if he's the number 1 guy or not. We assume and we think he is.
Right. Even if he is, though, even if he is the wide receiver 1, like Trigg is also a good option. In that offense, like he's going to be almost unguardable.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So
I think Trigg's the number 1 target there. Trigg would be the number 2 start. If you were just to rank Ole Miss players, it would be Zach Evans then Trigg to me.
Right. Because you can't pick a quarterback yet. Right. And the
Mingo's
quarterback situation doesn't scare me because I think both are capable. I think both are going to be just fine in terms of whoever wins the job, I think is just fine.
Yep. So give me Jarrett there.
Yeah, I'm taking Jarrett too. Yep. I think that offense is more Tua's little brother. I think is Talia. I think he's going to be
potentially going to skyrocket as a fantasy quarterback.
Like he could be really
if you don't
good.
have him now is the time to trade for him. Like with the receivers that he's got, Maryland's offense they're going to be throwing around a lot.
And the running back situation's kind of up in the air.
Yep.
So the offense is going to have to run through the quarterback and those receivers. So Jarrett might have just more opportunity.
Yeah, we've got Jarrett at the wide receiver 35 this week in our rankings. If you log in and see that, and then not too far down the line, we've got
so I got another question.
42, Jonathan Mingo.
Got another question. I'm assuming it's from your YouTube. It all pops up here in StreamYard. We're simulcast on BTR and CFB Dynasty YouTubes, but this question came across. For DFS, need a 4,000 or less wide receiver for cash games. Currently have Heath. Now, this is more of a question for you. I could bring up, I guess, DraftKings because I can't play like we've already discussed, but how did it log me out?
I don't know if I've ever even logged in from my computer screen because I'm always just on mobile with that. So let me see if I can get that on the screen and we can go over that real quick.
Well, it's acting as if I haven't signed in.
And I don't know what game, so I'm just going to do all 14 and roll with that.
Nice. Okay, now I'm in here. All right, so college football. We go to free games because that's all I can do. So what slate is that? I'm assuming that's the early slate then.
I'm going with the full 14, so we need to go
Okay.
4,000 or less. I'm gonna have to pull this over to the
Yeah,
screen.
I need to know. Is that the full? I don't know. I
And
can't
blow it up
respond
here
to
a
him.
bit.
So Aaron, is that in the full 14 game slate, or is that a specific slate? That way we can kind of give you more accurate info. Let's see. I don't think it's on
All
my
right,
stream.
so
I
I've
think
got
it's on
it
yours.
up on the screen, kind of scrolling across the 4,000. It's just out of range for Isaac Rex. Got Blaylock from Georgia.
Yeah.
I like Malik Heath. You know, they had Dennis Jackson transfer out this week. Former 4-star from Ole Miss, and so Heath is not a bad start there. But let's
4,000 or less, right? You know what he's saying?
Aju. What do you think about him? It's tough opponent week 1, but they are gonna throw it around a lot. The former Clemson OC as their head coach, Chase Cota, but he's playing Georgia, so he's out to me.
I think Ezike could be solid.
Yeah.
Tight end for UCLA.
Yep.
He's listed a wide receiver here, but he's the tight end, and I think that offense has a lot of room for the tight end. They just lost not Phillips. It's the tight end. The UCLA. Anyway, UCLA tight end had a really big season, and I think that's a good option there. I know tight ends are kind of scary just because typically volume isn't there for a tight end. But I mean, Dulcich.
Yeah, Dulcich.
Yeah, Dulcich was the tight end, and he had a monster season. So for a
what
tight
about
end,
Eric Gilbert at 3,200?
But don't they have like 4 tight ends that are
it
like?
Doesn't matter to me. Like that's gonna be the guy or one of the guys
That's a good roll the dice play there. I mean, if he separates himself in terms of like if he's basically a wide receiver, he's basically Kyle Pitts.
He's basically Kyle Pitts. Yeah, he is. He's gonna be out there a ton.
Yeah, I mean that's solid. I think main 14 slate. So Gilbert's solid. I'm just
that's gonna be my pick. I love that value of Eric Gilbert there. 3,200. That's what I'm feeling. How about you?
I like Ezike. I don't necessarily disagree.
You want to make a side bet on this? Ezike versus Gilbert?
I mean, Gilbert, I think, is the better player. I'm not going to debate you on that. I think it just comes down to the situation of the game. Like UCLA is playing Bowling Green, whereas Georgia's playing a potentially tough opponent in Oregon.
You're not even able to bet DFS. Let's just put $20 on it.
This is the way I can do it. Yeah. I mean, I'll do that, I guess.
All right, let's go.
Another one that is interesting is I don't know how to say it. Tyroa McMillan, the freshman at Arizona.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. He was listed as the number 1 target, the number 1 wide receiver in that offense. And if I like to believe that they're going to throw it a lot more than they did a year ago
for Arizona over Cowing.
I'm talking. Yeah. I mean, wasn't he the number 1 though? Didn't they list? They're both starting. Maybe they're just both starting.
Yeah.
Either way, I think at 3,900 is a solid.
It's not too bad, but I got to see it first.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's how I feel. That's how I feel with Gilbert, man.
Yeah.
Like Gilbert is just.
Well, you saw it in the spring game. Like he caught a couple touchdowns. It is the spring game, but
the spring game, the old spring game curse. Like, yeah, he was so good in the spring game. Then you never hear from him ever again.
Give it to me. $20. I'm in. Eric Gilbert.
I want to make sure Ezike is my guy before I jump. I don't see any more reasonable options. Because Cowing was like 6,900 or something stupid. Wasn't he up there?
Yeah, he's up there.
Cowing
But
6,900.
Malik
Yeah.
Heath was the original at 3,900, and I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's a bad play. Like he's probably who I would go second to Eric Gilbert. So it's not a bad one.
You talking about McMillan or ZK?
Malik Heath. I
Oh,
like
Heath.
McMillan, but yeah, I think Heath is a
Mm-hmm.
you
The
just
other,
hope he scores a long touchdown kind of thing.
yeah.
But
I'll
yeah,
tell you one.
he's
I'll
gonna
tell
get a
you
good
one that
run.
could be a sleeper pick, and you got to kind of wait and see. Is Booby Curry
Mm-hmm.
at Buffalo?
Yep.
He was a former 4-star at Arizona. That it didn't work out there, but Arizona was a dumpster fire while he was there. Now he's not that he's going to a better team, but like you kind of feel for him a little bit, because if he had stayed at Arizona, he might have been a star in that offense, and Cowing may not even go there.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how.
Oh, Josh Downs, the news just came in. He is out today.
Yeah.
So let's get back to your lineup here, unless we get any other questions that come in. You got Jaquavius Marks at 6,900, Mayan Williams backup at Ohio State 6,200, Dylan Johnson, who to me is the better player anyways, at Mississippi State, if you're going to go with one of those.
All right, so
he's
real
at
quick,
6,000. Dylan Johnson.
Real quick, I want to go ahead and put this out there. I'll take a ZK to your Gilbert if you want.
All right, let's
$20.
do it. Yep.
$20. All right, cool.
Oh
man, so Downs is out.
Yeah.
I don't have him anywhere. I was
JV
never in a position to draft him. It felt like, because all the drafts I was in, I was either early, like before his value was really there, or after he was taken already.
Yep.
So like my second pick coming around, he was already gone, so I didn't ever really get him. And what kind of scared me about that offense was, like, Drake May was the presumable number one, but it wasn't really finalized until like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still kind of a battle. And either way, you don't really know. Right.
Right.
So yeah. I think, while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and put this up. So the BTR team put out our games to watch today. Obviously they're not all big games. They're not your Floridas and Utahs and those type of games, but games they're going to be fun to watch. As you guys can see here, each bar tells you when they play, and the initials are like, is Chris K, me, and then Andrew Katz. We all have our picks. So I picked the 3 or 4 games I picked NC State at East Carolina. I think that's going to be a fun game. Like, everybody's high on NC State, but I think East Carolina is pretty good, and it's at East Carolina. That game could be interesting in terms of just, that might be closer than people think. It's NC State minus 11.5. I might take East Carolina there with the points at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be fun. I think, like you said, NC State's really projected to be potentially win the ACC. East Carolina's got some good fantasy contributors: Keaton Mitchell, Holton Ahlers, and then CJ Johnson, the wide receiver. He was suspended like most of the offseason, I think, but apparently he's back and he's wide receiver 1. So I don't know if he's in those slates on what he's priced at, but might be something to look at.
One guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say one price that I wanted to get your feedback on. I know your boys at Memphis are playing at Mississippi State.
Yep.
But Ducker is the bottom $3,000.
Why not? Why not? Like, I don't think Mississippi State's gonna be all that great. Memphis is weird. They're so weird because they have 2 legitimate running backs. The receivers, you lose Calvin Austin, you're losing a big time weapon. Does the offense just continue going in the same manner with a receiver, or do they kind of lean on the running game because that's where their talent is?
Yep.
Like, do they adapt? And like, you have Ivory, you have Skates, and you have, what's the other guy? The one that senior, Eddie Lewis, in his name. Yeah, like those 3 guys might just share the load. I think Ducker would be a good play at 3,000. or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a solid play
there are 17-point dogs against Mississippi State.
because that's
The
in
over-under
Starkville.
of
If that's in
57.
Memphis, that game's probably closer to a 10-point
Yeah.
spread.
Man, I want to put him in this lineup so bad because I think they've just misvalued him. I think he's going to get plenty of touches for that, but will he score? I just don't know. Against Mississippi State, like if they were going against someone else, that would
Right.
be a steal and someone that you're going to win money with.
Yeah. So another game that I liked was the Arizona San Diego State game. San Diego State's a good team. They're favored. They're at home, 6.5 points. I don't know. I really don't know what Arizona's going to look like. Again, like the last few years, they've been awful.
Yeah.
But I think they've made some moves in the transfer portal, got a whole new system going on down there. I think that might be one of those games where Arizona upsets, quote unquote, San Diego State. I don't know. But it's interesting to me. It's intriguing. Another one's Byu South Florida. We've talked about it a lot. Jaron Hall, Jerry Bohannon down there. I think it's a pretty fun game. My last one obviously was the Boise State Oregon State game at 10:30 10:30 Eastern. You might not be awake for that. I don't know if you're going to stay up for it or not. But
I will be driving back when that starts. So
I'll
be up.
I think that's going to be an intriguing game too. Oregon State's got a lot of mystery around them. They've got some running backs that are pretty intriguing going into the season. You've got the freshman Damian Martinez, which I think I've grabbed him a couple times in best balls just because I think he might end up being their best running back by the end of the season. And Boise State, like I know that's my team, but like I truly do not know what to think of how they're going to be. Like in theory, you have a senior quarterback that should be the advantage in this game. I just don't know that he is the advantage in this game because he has a bad habit, and you could blame it maybe on protection. He has a bad habit of holding the ball like a count too long. You know what I'm saying? Like he may get the throw off and he might complete the pass, but he's taking a big hit. Like if you you get rid of that ball a count early, maybe you don't take the hit. You know, like it's almost like he's waiting too long for the guy to get open instead of throwing him open.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll see. Those are my intriguing matchups for the week. Outside of the big Notre Dame, Ohio State, like everybody can pick those.
Yep. And I'll be at Utah, Florida. Can't wait. Taking my 5-year-old. We're gonna have a great time if Florida wins. Otherwise, we'll still have a good time.
I'm not gonna pick that game, so I think we should do some picks.
Let's do some picks and wrap it up. Sounds good.
I think we should do some. Let me just pull up. I'll just pull up ESPN and just use their. They have the spreads on this sheet. No, they don't. Are you kidding me?
Here, I've got them.
They do. Okay,
I've got them right here.
We're gonna pick Colorado State at Michigan. It's a 11 a.m. kick. Or I guess noon kick for you.
Yep.
So Michigan by 31
against
Colorado State. Yeah, like Colorado State has got a lot of promise. Like we talked about it on another pod. This game isn't just an automatic for Michigan.
Right.
Like I think they win it, but I think it's going to be there's potential for some I don't want to call upset, but there's potential for that game to be a little closer than people want. So I'm going to take Colorado State with the points.
Yep.
You cool with that?
I wouldn't bet this game, but if
I wouldn't bet it
either. If I had to, I would probably roll with
31
Michigan.
Points is a lot.
It's a lot, but I would roll with Michigan at home. Okay. It's going to be his first start will be in the big. Clay Millen's first start will be in the big house. I'd probably take Michigan, but I would absolutely stay away from that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I already talked about NC State, East Carolina. Okay. Oregon, Georgia. Georgia 16.5 points. It's gone down. It was like 17.5.
It was 17.5. Yep.
I think I'll take Georgia with that number.
I like what Oregon was able to do on the road last year against Ohio State.
Bo Nix.
Bo
That's the
Nix.
ultimate wild card.
I know. But I would go Georgia. You wonder about letdown season, that kind of stuff. How motivated is everybody? They lost a ton on defense.
They
How
did.
quickly do they gel? But talent wise, I would roll with Georgia and Eric Gilbert catching a couple touchdowns there.
Slip that in there. This one, I don't know where to go. I think Cincinnati at Arkansas. Arkansas's favorite was 6.5. I think I'm going to roll with Arkansas. I like Arkansas, but Cincinnati just lost too much for me.
This is one where it was so easy for me. Yes, I agree. Cincinnati lost a lot, and Arkansas is really good.
And KJ Jefferson is the better. Like, to me, that's where it comes down to.
It's the spread that was shocking and surprised me. Like, I thought at Arkansas there would be a 12-point favorite.
So it makes me wonder, if that game was in Cincinnati, what would the line be?
It would probably be 1 or 2 or 3.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's typically about a 3-point.
I'll say this
on the home field advantage.
I think Cincinnati is pretty good. Now, obviously, losing Ritter, losing a couple of receivers, losing the best corner potentially in the country, that's going to be a big ask. However, Arkansas has some question marks on offense also, at wide receiver mainly.
Yeah.
Right. They've got some talent for sure, but you're telling me that Matt Landers from Toledo is going to be the guy that is Treylon Burks? I don't think so.
Hazelwood might, though.
Hazelwood could be.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like ignoring him. I just feel like you went and got a guy from Toledo because you don't believe enough in the guys necessarily behind you. Same thing with Alabama. Like, why are you going and getting these guys in the transfer portal when you recruit these supreme athletes, right?
Yep. But
I think Arkansas 7 are basically a touchdown favorite. I think you have to go Arkansas there. Yep. I don't know how what scenario Cincinnati wins unless Ben Bryant, who we don't even know is really going to be the full-time starter. Like, he's starting today.
Yep.
But Prater has more upside, in my opinion. We've talked about all that too, but I think Arkansas, unless they just are careless with the ball and turn it over, I think you got to pick Arkansas. Another one, Houston at UTSA. Houston is giving 4 points here. And I have no idea. Like, I mean, Houston, I guess, is the ranked team in this situation, but UTSA is good. They're a good team. Good. Like, they lost one game last year, and it was not like they got blown out either. Like, it was a good, close one. So, and they're bringing back pretty much everybody, right? The quarterbacks, the receivers, they're bringing everybody back. So, I mean, Houston didn't lose much either, but it's at UTSA. I think I'm going to go with UTSA.
I think I would too. I agree. I think
at the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're at home. Like, this is probably going to be their biggest game of the season.
Yep.
I don't know what their schedule looks like. They go Houston, Army, then they go at Texas, and every other home game is Texas Southern, Western Kentucky, North Texas, Louisiana Tech, UTEP. Like, this is the biggest game they're going to have at home.
Yep.
I think I'm going to roll the UTSA, and they win that. I'm not going to make you pick the Florida Utah game.
You know what I want to happen, but I think whoever runs the ball better there is gonna win.
Utah's a solid team, man. Like, I'm not trying to.
Oh, they are.
Make you pick the game, but like, I think it's a solid. That's a good test for both teams, really.
Yep.
Okay. I just had one. You have one ready to go, or no?
Just Ohio State, Notre Dame.
I was going to get to that one. I think Ohio State wins, and I think they win it. 16.5 points is a lot. There's a lot I need to see from Notre Dame offensively.
Yeah.
Because I think Ohio State's going to score, and I think they're going to score pretty regularly. Like, I don't know that they don't score at least 28 points.
Yep.
So with that in mind, if they score at least 28, so realistically probably 35 plus, Do I think Notre Dame can score more than that? I don't know that they can.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take Ohio State to cover.
I would too.
16 and a half points. I'll take that. What other game is there? I felt like there was another one. Maybe not. Maybe that was it.
Yep. Well, I'm good there. If you want to.
I'll pick the Boise State Oregon State game.
Oh, go for it. Yep.
So Oregon State's favored by 2 points. That thing has been back and forth, I think, from like 3.5 to 2.5. Now it's down to 2. So the money's coming in on Boise, I think, to cover, to probably win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just goes back to, perennially, Boise's always a tough game to open up with. Boise's pretty experienced, obviously at quarterback. Running back still kind of an issue. They have Holani. They have JT there that's going to come in. Tyler Crow is going to be getting carries. The receiving core is where everybody wants to know who is going to step up in that offense.
Yep.
Obviously, Cobbs is the guy. Austin Bolt's a guy I like. He's a tight end / receiver hybrid. Billy Bowens. They've got some weapons that are all unproven. Oregon State's at home. I'm going to pick Boise just because I think I have to.
Yep.
But it's not like an outrageous pick because they're only a 2-point dog on the road. Like if that game's on the blue, like I think Boise's favored by 2. So I think it just flips. So I think the only reason Oregon State's favored is because they're at home.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts, Boise?
I'd roll with Boise. I think they're good enough. They're veteran, and I think they're gonna go on the road and win there.
Nice.
I mean, the point spread's so close that you would just have to, take the money line there.
That game. I think I would too. All right, so I guess that's all we got today. So everybody, hope that was good for you guys. Answered some of your questions. We may not do this every week, but I'd like to.
Yep.
I'd like to do something like this, whether it's Friday night or Saturday morning.
And the goal will be helping you guys with lineups, answering questions, using all the data that we have at our fingertips to kind of make those mathematical lineup suggestions and DFS.
Yep. So everybody enjoy your Saturday of college football. We're here. First Saturday. I mean, if you want to count week 0,
yes.
the first full slate week 1. We're here. Enjoy it, everybody. And I'm sure we'll be back next week to talk about what we saw.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Appreciate it.
See you guys.